stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back, get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX. J-Way. I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless. I'm gone. Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck. Give me that. To the trends. See a lead, be the band.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Corner to Copa. I'm here with my co-host Coach, and we didn't get any baseball today. Not that the series was going so great as is, but would have been nice to see how the series concludes. But we're gonna get a makeup for that game way down in September. Ain't no telling what the team is gonna look like then. Could look a lot different. Hopefully it does. I don't know. But important week. We knew that we had two divisional games going into the week, and we started out relatively well. Had two wins sandwiched in between a close loss to the Minnesota Twins, but on the other end of that, we had two double-digit run producing games, which was nice. And that's the Minnesota team that was right ahead of us. So, Coach, we'll start with Minnesota. How are you feeling leaving the Minnesota series? Yeah, heavy lag. Coach, are you there? Oh, okay.
There we go. Sorry. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to repeat what you said. I didn't hear any last 15 seconds or so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just wanted to know what your impressions were on the Minnesota series. Obviously, we won 2 of 3, had a couple of double-digit run producing games in between a close loss. But how'd you feel about the series? How'd you feel leaving that series?
Well, I really only got to watch the first game of that series. Aside from that, didn't really get a chance to watch too much of the rest of the week myself. But in a nutshell, though, they needed to win this week, and they didn't. They had a losing week, so that puts them further behind the ball. They pretty much have to average at least 600 ball the rest of the year to have a chance. That's not to get in. That's just to be in the mix at the end. So every time they lose a series, they're writing themselves off every time. So every game matters for them right now. And that's kind of the reason why, despite, some of the offensive explosion in Minnesota, turn around, you go to Cleveland and you just get pwned despite Cleveland losing yesterday, 3 players all within the first few innings of the game, including J-Ram, and he still could only score 1 run for Skubal. And it was Chase Lauder, J-Ram, 2 of their bigger bats, we talked about it offline in the week. They at the end of May, they had a 2-12 record or 4-12 record against the division, which was among the worst in baseball. They have to win these divisional series. There's no room for error. I don't know how much more margin for error they have. They've gone from a 20% to 2% chance to make the playoffs right now. So it's looking bleak.
Yeah. So at the end of the Minnesota series, we actually won 11-0 and actually got to their catcher. So we got to, the catcher was pitching. So we got to pad on some, meaningless stats. Wenceel Perez got a home run, which seems to be all that he can pretty much muster up at this point. But, we went into that Cleveland series, with, a little bit of excitement. We knew that we were going to be getting some pitchers back. Casey Mize, Tarik Skubal. We knew Tarik Skubal was going to pitch on Saturday. So, there was some hype there. We lost the first game, I believe, we lost both games 2-3 and 1-3. So yeah, there wasn't much run support. Skubal did give up all 3 of the runs in this game back, and he only got through 4 2/3, if I'm not mistaken. We talked about this offline. This jumped off the page to me. Tarek Skubal pitching. Well, first of all, Stephen Kwan didn't start the game, but they plopped their rookie lefty, right into the 3-hole against, one of the scariest pitchers, but also a lefty pitcher with no fear. Now, Chase DeLauter runs into the wall in the first pitch of the game, which he was apparent, was a little shaken up, but stayed in the ball game long enough to hit one time. And he poked a single to the opposite field against Tarek Skubal. So cool. Understandable what happens. They replaced Chase DeLauter with another lefty. Doubling down on, we're throwing a lefty right into the 3-hole, and come to find out that lefty, Schneemann, is that his name?
Something. Yeah, Daniel Schneemann. Yeah,
Daniel Schneemann hits the game-winning 2-run home run to win the ball game. Now AJ Hinch has got to be looking like, not only did they put a lefty rookie, talented rookie nonetheless, but up and down rookie, in the 3-hole against my ace, my ace in the hole pitcher, but they replaced him with another lefty, and he burned us again. Obviously we don't have a Schneemann or a DeLauter on our team, but just very ironic. It's something that the media has gotten to the point to where they're asking, hey, how much longer can we hang around with Jahmai Jones out there? How much longer are you going to take at bats away from Cole Keith and Kerry Carpenter? And AJ just, sometimes, and this is a little bit of a rant, but sometimes when you see AJ out there, it just seems like he's just off in la la land. He's just out there smiling at nothing. And he's got to be thinking about, how did I manage to get an extension in the midst of one of the worst AL Central, breakdowns, just baseball breakdowns of all time. And then, I managed an extension in the midst of us damn near losing, we lost the division, but we damn near didn't make the playoffs at all. But I just don't know what goes through his head. He just seems too, bullheaded and stubborn, and he's standing 100% 10 toes. I'm not going to get caught up in the results. Like, if that's not everything, how are the results not something to be caught up in about? But yeah, now the media really wants to know, like, what are we doing here? And he's just like, hey, it's cool, it's fine, we'll get past it. Jahmai still hitting the ball hard, which analytics say he is hitting the ball hard. He said, I know he didn't yesterday. He's like, yeah, before you say something that they can jump on you again about. But yeah, man, I said a lot. That's the takeaways from the Guardian series. Any other thoughts you have about that, what you saw?
The trend continues. Like, runners in scoring position, this team can't get it done. People are going to say, well, we don't really miss Parker Meadows. It's speed. This team had speed heading into the season, healthy. You had McKinstry, you had Meadows. Perez had swiped a few bags, but he wasn't going to be a big impact guy like that. McGonigal is capable of swiping some bags. He's still kind of learning, but through all the injuries, everything else, you're not left with much speed left in the bases either. So some of the defensive issues are creeping up again, some bad routes to balls. But I think now that some of these guys have come back and we've gotten rid of guys like Workman and Zach Short, and hate to say it, but Trey Sweeney with the season-ending shoulder surgery, probably a blessing in disguise. If I have to see his name called up 30 more times between July and August, I'm going to throw up. But to your point about the bullheadedness, he's the left-hand guy to Harris, and they're going to go down with the ship together. So, but yeah, the Jahmai Jones thing, if you got to respond with a full paragraph, a legitimate full paragraph quote, I should justify why you keep getting this. Yeah. And why you have to keep giving this bum at bats. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Seriously, this isn't baseball. It's like you're just putting names into a hat. all right, this is who we're going with. This is what the computer's telling me to go with. But yeah, but the play in the field from his opponents, your point about Schneemann and lefties, it's contradicting what's proving all the reasons why his system is failing for himself, and the antithesis or the opposite for his opponents is working, because they know he's so married to it that they can predict every single move, and if they've got the right personnel that are being productive at that time, they're probably gonna beat him at his own game. So if you don't change and you're getting beat your own game, then you reap what you sow, and that's kind of what's happening right now. But I still have faith in the players to try and get it done, but there's only so much the players can do. If they're not put in the lineup, they can't do anything. So your point about less at bats, and one more point on that, they're talking about the 6-man rotation. Why do you want less starts for Skubal again? Did we not go through this the other year where they stretched a 6-man? Less starts for your ace. Hello, we have a 2% chance to make the freaking playoffs here. Let's go. We got to start pushing buttons here. I'm off my high now. I digress.
But yeah, so I mean, I always wondered. I'm like, why? Just because it's not like Cleveland's just so talented. Tanner Bybee, chopped us up, on Friday. He was 1-7 going into it. And then what's the other guy's name? Joey Cantillo. He had the ERA just above, just below 5. Same story. But it comes to find out the Guardians have a chess club. They have a team that was started by Stephen Kwan, a bonding opportunity for them where they challenge local chess teams around the Cleveland area. And it's like, they're clearly playing easy. It's checkers, it's chess to checkers between Cleveland and Detroit. But yeah, they just, it's not like they scored 3 runs. They scored 6 runs, 3 runs per game this weekend. Obviously the game got rained out today, but not that they're doing they're so great. J Ram got hurt at some point in the second game. Stephen Kwan's having a down year. Chase DeLauder was hurt as well. I mean, the team's really not all that talented. They're just built a certain kind of way, and they're just managed a certain kind of way. Nothing too crazy about it. We'll see how Cleveland does without J Ram. But teams like that, they do more with less regardless. They tend to find ways. So it only took 6 runs to beat us. The Tigers were outscored by the USA soccer team. No one scores in soccer, but that this weekend they were outscored by them. So the Guardians are just going to do what it takes to get the job done. But we'll see how they respond. We'll see how they respond. Yeah, and then you get to one of their best relievers is actually out. I can't think of his name right now, but once you get to the back end of that bullpen, it's lights out. Cade Smith had 2 saves this weekend. You're not going to do much with him if it gets to that point. So, yeah. Shall we? We'll get to the first break. And then we'll see what's going on. All right. Well, we as we preluded to earlier, we do have some guys coming off the IL. So of course there's some corresponding moves to speak about what we got going on.
All right. Here, just bear with me.
You're lagging. You there?
All right, let's circle back to that. We'll circle back to that.
Okay. Well, let's get right into the minor league report. We got you there?
Hello?
Yeah, you there? Well, I'm gonna just talk, and if he cuts me off, as far
Okay, all right, I think I'm back. Hold on.
you good? You want me to talk the minor league reports, or you want to talk
Can
roster?
you hear me? I'm back. I think.
Oh, you lagging?
I think so.
Right. Try to reset it. All right. So as far as the minor league report is concerned, both Maxes hit home runs this past
Okay,
weekend.
I think I got you back. Your audio back now.
We good?
All right. I'm going to try and rip this here right quick. And if I fall off again, that's probably going to be it for me for the day. So let's see here. June 9th. Down there. On the 10th, Jansen was sent to Toledo. Same day they required from Milwaukee right-hand pitcher Jacob Waguespack for cash consideration to a player to be named later. Continues to name the most random players ever that Scott Harris continues to find. I don't know where from. He must be using a different app from everyone else, because I don't know where he's compiling these players on lists where he's like, yeah, I'm going to go get this guy, versus guys that he completely glazes publicly his own players, he picks. And all right. On the 11th, he transferred by as a 60-day IL from his ankle injury, which I think we noted last week. Prior to that move, doesn't sound like he's going to be back anytime soon. And at this rate, as they continue to decline, I don't know if he's going to play another game as a Tiger, at least this year. There'd be no reason to if they get bounced out. But they claimed James Outman off the waivers from Minnesota. We continue to just recycle guys in our own division. Apparently, they activated him the following day and activated Jansen. DFA'd Zach Short while demoting Brent Hennefy, who continues to be on that yo-yo up and down from last year, which I don't understand entirely why. I know he's technically a specialty guy, I guess you'd say, but he's done pretty well. So I just feel for him. He continued to bounce back and forth despite some fairly consistent outings. And then Bo Brisky was the other one going down. No, I don't really have anything on him. But Flaherty went on a 15-day IL. I think the day after his start, right? He slipped on a pitch early in the game that kind of not aggravated, but caused a minor issue with him. And then during a line drive comebacker, it really aggravated the point where he had to come out at the end of the inning, went right down to the tunnel. So we'll see. And then the same day they activated Scooble and demoted Tymed to Toledo. And in the emergency had Hyu Lee up as the emergency player. So I would not expect him to be with the team coming for the next series, given it's past 24 hours. So that is it in terms of injuries and roster updates.
Yeah, and Outman made some noise pretty quickly. He had a diving catch and a no-doubter home run in his first game with us. Seemed to be kind of an odd seemed to be like an odd transaction by him, but he is somebody that was held in pretty high regard with the Dodgers a few years back. What we do know about him, that he does, he can play some pretty good center field, although he's been a mixed bag already. I think you said he misplayed a ball, a deep fly ball, but yeah, he's obviously got some power mixed in with some swing and miss, because he has struck out as well. So we'll see how much Outman plays moving forward. He played center. Zach McKinstry was delegated to center field for a couple games, which he looked pretty comfortable, but I think that was kind of an emergency situation. So, yeah. But yeah, so that's as far as Outman is concerned. We'll get right into the minor league report. Both Maxes had home runs over the weekend, Max Clark and Max Anderson. Bryce Rainier starting to heat up. He's had home runs in 2 straight games. We talked about it offline. The exit velocity is there, and he's not even really pulling the ball yet. Once he starts doing that, you're really going to see some crazy results. He's had quite a few strikeouts, but when I looked at the advanced analytics, I mean, he's in a 3 percentile as far as pulling the ball in the air. So, he likes to shoot the ball to the opposite field, but we know the one indication that you have the potential to hit a lot of home runs is when you start pulling the ball in the air. So that's something to pay attention to with Bryce Rainier. Obviously, he missed most of last year with a shoulder injury, I believe. A name that I haven't talked about yet, Angel De Los Santos. He's down in the Dominican League. I think he's like 19 years old. After getting off to a pretty slow start, he's had some pretty decent splits, a 276 average, 336 on base. And he's got 4 home runs, 5 walks, and 8 stolen bases, and a 786 OPS. But I think the hottest guy in the system right now is Brett Callahan. He's hit 5 home runs in 6 games. He's had 12 home runs overall, and he's another, outfielder in the system. He's in Erie right now, but according to the guys over at the Minor League Report, he's all but ready for the AAA at this point. I mean, 5 home runs in 6 games. I want to say he had a pretty decent spring training as well. So encouraging to see from an outfielder, because looking pretty thin out there, especially when you're out there, especially when you're, I think we signed I think his last name was Gentry, who's another veteran outfielder, but obviously we're picking out of the waiver wire right now and not pulling up through our system. They're not ready to advance Max Clark as of yet, even though he's been hot as of late. But I have no fear, because it's all, we'll talk about what we got coming up, coming up as far as the Tigers are concerned. But, after losing 2 games to the Guardians, after, a pretty good series against Minnesota, it's getting closer and closer to figuring out buy or sell, leaning towards sell at this point. So, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but what we got going on, what's going on around the league that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, we've seen a rash of hamate bone injuries, and we were just talking about this, considering the slew of them we saw in spring training leading into the WBC, including Mookie Betts and a couple others. But to your point, J-Ram, one of the players, lost yesterday on a foul out swing to Dingler, fractured his hamate bone. He'll be out 4 to 6, maybe 7 weeks. I think the general window is 4 to 8, because Pasquantino of the Royals also, he was hit by pitch. He's out 6 to 8 weeks with the exact same injury as well. Looks like Ronald Acuna, who was taken out of a game earlier in the week with a knee potential injury, does not look to be as severe as the tears he had suffered in both knees previously. No update on Aaron Judge in terms of the re-imaging, unless it's coming up here in the next couple of days to start the next week for the Yankees as they continue to battle the Rays in the East. And quietly, the Rangers are they're in a wild card spot right now, but they're right in the thick of the AL West, and they've kind of been forgotten since they won the World Series a few years ago with Max Scherzer. But Jacob deGrom is quietly having a top 5, top 7 AL Cy Young year for them, rejuvenation, given his lieu of arm injuries and issues himself. So they're not an easy team right now. But and like you said, we'll touch on it later. But the quote allegedly from those that have called Harris or Detroit about Skubal since his return yesterday, which is barely 24 hours, they're basically allegedly telling people they're not making a decision until the deadline. So we'll go to that in greater detail. But that's pretty much it from around the league. I know there were some mock trades for him going around, but I think so far not too much has been decided right now. Everyone's so clumped together in both leagues for the most part. So no one's really out of it yet. But however, for the bottom 4 or 5 teams in each league, the ticker is starting at this point.
Absolutely. And I do have a mock trade that I was going to put up, but the thing I wanted to talk about as far as around the league is the Chicago White Sox. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, I think this team is pretty serious. They got a lot of young talent. We've been talking about it since last year when they were giving us trouble. And, you know, I think one of the biggest things for them was that Garrett Crochet trade, which gives me hope. This kind of preludes right into the Skubal situation because they were able to really jumpstart the rebuild with that trade. I think Sam Antonaki was in that trade. Chase Meadroff was in that trade. And then Kyle Teal, who hasn't even played this year. He's been hurt all year, but he's their catcher of the future. And, you know, Antonaki hit a home run today. I mean, I think they had an inning where they had 3 home runs in the same inning. It was Meadroff, Colson Montgomery, who's a young talent, and Sam Antonaki. Of course, Miguel Vargas, he's having an all-star season. I feel like he came from the Dodgers, if I'm not mistaken. Now I got to look it up. Because I remember, so he came from LA. And I remember it vividly because he got traded in the midst of like the dark years of Chicago. And there was just a depressing picture of him, just like, wow, I went from the LA Dodgers, where I was in the World Series hunt every year, to the lowly Chicago White Sox. And he's definitely singing a different tune now. I mean, he's having a lot of fun out there. But they got the young guy, Braden Montgomery, who was talked about early in the season. He's playing every day at this point. And they just beat the Dodgers, 1, 2, or 3 from the Dodgers for the first time since 2015, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. So, I mean, LA's been good for a while, but I don't think they've been good for that long. And of course, they now get to see LA every year, whereas, you know, I think 2015 dates back to when it was interleague play. So, the Chicago White Sox, they're a good young team, and they're, you know, having fun out there. I'm not gonna lie, watching that game, I felt a little jealous. I'm like, you know, oh, they actually have young bats, you know, actual young talented bats, you know, something that we could use right about now. So, they're making a lot of noise. Murakami, didn't even mention Murakami. He didn't even play in that game. He got the day off against who pitched? I think Sheehan pitched today, but
he's
he didn't
hurt,
even.
isn't he?
Oh, he's hurt. That okay? Oh, he's hurt. Okay.
Yeah, we missed him. He put in the IL right before the last series in Chicago.
Okay, yeah, because the one thing I did see was his exchange with Ohtani across the dugouts. They had a little, you know, friendly whatever the hell was going on, but I know he sucks that he didn't get an opportunity to play against his against his fellow, you know, Japanese homeboy. Speaking of Japanese, what's the guy? I don't know. Do you know the guy's name that plays for the Blue Jays, the Japanese guy?
Yeah, the rookie. Last name starts with a K, like Kazumoto or something like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then
Something like
I didn't even think about Yamamoto had a near no hitter on yesterday as well, but the kid from Toronto hit one in the 500 club. Like everybody was, he hit one. I think this was the third deck, and you know, it was priceless watching Vladimir Guerrero. As long as he's been playing there, and as far as he can hit balls, he was in a state of shock when he saw that ball go up there. Because I mean, they call it the 500 club, and it's because that ball traveled 500 feet, I think. I mean, this thing was in an area of the Sky Dome, center or whatever, that I've never seen a ball hit. So that was pretty impressive. But yeah, so at this point, you know, the Tigers would have been singing a totally different tune. They went into the Cleveland series 6-1 in June, and we know with an opportunity to, you know, take 3 games back from Cleveland, and that's not what happened. And Skubal looked okay, but he did only go 4 2/3. And yeah, so the rumors have started about where he could end up. and I'm gonna present. Of course, we talked about mock trades going back to last summer, or I don't know when we started talking about mock trades, but Milwaukee is an interesting team. We talked about it offline. They have a very strong farm system, and the possibility of them being able to pair Tarek Skubal with Jacob Mizorowski and their other guy. They got another guy. I think his name is Kyle Harrison. I want to say they got him from in a Boston deal, but the possibility of putting the three of those guys up against the Dodgers, is they'd be a formidable match as far as pitching is concerned. Obviously, the offense pales in comparison, but Mizorowski is a sub 1 ERA in his last like 7 games. Tarek Skubal, we all know what he does, and then Kyle Harrison is having a crazy year in himself. So might be too good of an opportunity to pass up for them. And this is an interesting mock trade. Now, Robert Gasser is a guy that's already in the rotation right now. I'm going to pull him up. The stats aren't pretty, but he is the analytics certainly look better than the pull it up here real quick. The analytics look better.
Is he a starter or a reliever?
He's a starter.
Okay.
Hold on.
I mean, up front on paper, that doesn't look too bad. 2 of the top 15 plus an MLB technically ready now guy. I mean, that's probably what I was expecting, like at best case scenario. Right now, it's prime. The later they wait to trade him, the less they're probably going to get closer to deadline.
Right. So he's only started 4 games this year, but in the first two in the first 2 seasons, ERA doesn't look too bad. He's 6 foot. The extension is out of this world. A ton of weak contact, and you look at the expected batting average. Although you see the ERA is crazy bloated, 6.38. But you look at the expected stats, even dating back to last year, same thing. Expected batting average is super low. This is his rookie. That's the rookie year. But at any rate, 27. He's a guy that would immediately be in the rotation for the Tigers. Let me pull the YouTube back up.
Looks like he pitches to contact quite a bit.
Yeah, and it appears to be a lot of weak contact as well.
If that average exit velo only 86 miles an hour, that's a gift.
Right. So yeah, you got two prospects, 14 and 12. I think I want to say they're both in like low A. So these are like project type guys, but I think the most appealing at this point would be Cooper Pratt, who's one of those guys that got paid. They got paid early on. He's still only in Double A, but he will be locked in to a team friendly deal. He's 63rd in the baseball. So clearly their number one prospect, or close to their number one prospect, because actually not their number one, because they got I think they got Jesus Made. Jesus Made is one of their guys.
Oh yeah.
Who was a little bit higher. Let me see if I can pull up.
Like 2 years ago, they had him, or before the start of last season, he was like he was like the organization's key prospect, I guess, to track for that year. He was chosen.
You talking about Pratt or Jesus?
No, Mead. Yeah. He was up there. They labeled him as one of the quote unquote future MLB stars for the organization. This was something they did 2 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, and he's an international signing. Jesus, I think, started when he was like 17. But so yeah, this is Cooper Pratt. He's only 21 years old. He's already in AAA. So he's another guy that you could possibly see this year if the trade were to go down. Not crazy stats that jump off the page, but like I said, high ceiling, or a high enough ceiling for them to decide to pay him already, because I want to say he got paid around the same time as McGonigal, but to a much cheaper deal, because he's not, 8 years, $50 million. It's his deal right now. So,
it's about $7 a year.
Yep.
Okay.
Because 8 times 7 is what, 56. So a little less than that. But so you got an arm that's ready to go into the rotation. You got a guy, a young prospect that's already locked down for the next 8 years to a team friendly deal. Obviously shortstops, you can throw those anywhere. If Glaber's gone, you throw him at second, or you throw McGonigal at second, or you throw him at third, whatever makes the most sense. And then you got 2 other prospects that are a ways away. That are a ways away that you can, maybe bank on them contributing something. But at any rate, Scooble's just that's a lot to get for a rental, especially with a team not going anywhere. And that was, I don't know if that was Jeff Passan. I want to say Jeff Passan is the one that created that particular, either the aggregator that posted it, or Jeff Passan created that actual mock trade. So we'll see plenty of those, but I think that Milwaukee is an interesting team that, can't financially afford a Scooble. And with the amount of prospects that they have, it may be worth their while to take a shot with how well they're playing right now, and how strong the top end of their pitching staff is. So, any other thoughts about this mock draft?
I think it would be a win for them if Milwaukee feels like getting a Scooble, it puts them over the hump, in the eyes against maybe like the Dodgers or the Braves this year. Then that would, they're probably paying a little bit more than I thought we could get. But if I'm Detroit and that's the case and you're pretty much out of it, I think that's a huge get for you. And especially to your point about Chris Pratt, basically like a longer term deal that's similar to AAV and Cole Keith, who was getting $5 a year roughly to a little under, give or take 7 for Pratt. So that fits that mold, that approach in terms of value. I would give that obviously reminisce a few years later to see how it actually pans out for them. But on paper, just on the trade, the 1-to-1, I'd give that probably an A-. My only thing would be I would really try to target a corner infielder, because we don't really have anyone in the system really, whether at third or first, full time at first. I'll say traditional first baseman. I know Lorenzo and Briseño have split between catcher, first base. So while they could develop that position, it wasn't a natural one. I think they were both catchers originally. So, that'd be pretty good, pretty damn good actually.
Yeah, so you look at the Brewers prospect list. They got Jesus Made, as I talked about earlier, at the top. So they're not even giving up the top prospect that they're giving up is Cooper Pratt, which they might be iffy about parting with because they did lock him in. So that's quite the setup for them. But as you can see, it's not until number 12, Braylon Payne. That's the next prospect that they will be giving up all the way down at 12, and he's in high A right now. And then I think, then JD Thompson, who's a left-handed pitcher, high A as well, weighed out at 14. So, they still keep Jet Williams, who they got from the Mets, I believe. Andrew Fisher. I want to say Andrew Fisher played for he was in the World Baseball Classic, if I'm not mistaken. But he's I actually got hip to him from being on Trevor Bauer's show. He was one of the hitters that hit against Trevor Bauer on the show. So, the very rich prospect class. They got a draft coming up, so they can stand apart with somebody as long as they're not talking Jet Williams, Pena, or Jesus. So that's that. We'll have plenty of opportunities to talk about, mock drafts for Tarek Schoolboy. As of right now, they're allegedly not, taking any phone calls on that. But I know one thing: they better pick that phone. They better pick up the phone for a lot of these guys. Gleyber Torres, all these guys can always come back if they're that serious about it. You trade those guys and let them come back if they want to. The other, who else did they say? Kyle Finnegan, sub 2 ERA on a 1-year deal. You might be able to get something for him. I don't think anybody wants Kenley Jansen. Who else is on that list? There was a list of guys that somebody
Casey Mize has got to be on that list.
I was going to mention I was going to mention Casey Mize. And another guy that technically could come back if he wanted to. He is a former, first round pick. He had a good, we'll see how he looks now that he's back off injury. But somebody brought up the whole arbitration over $30,000 and how that could play, and how that might be still a sour moment for him. So I don't know. I wouldn't be mad. I mean, I love the fact that we have Troy Melton. We hope that Jackson Jobe can come back. We hope that Reese Olson. I mean, I have more faith in Jackson Jobe at this point than Reese Olson, because we've seen that song played out many times with Reese Olson. But somebody's got to pitch. We don't have any pitching prospects in our system really that we can bank on. So, Casey Mize, he's a vet. Certainly would be a vet on that staff. Because Verlander will be gone, Schoolboy will be gone. Somebody's got to hold it down as a vet when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
So,
because Framber will only have 1 year left, and then they'll be looking at that optional year. And if they're really starting to continue that downward trend, I don't see a reason why they would pick up that club option at that $37 million price tag.
So he's on contract for next year, and then he has a player option that year after, which I would assume he's picking if he's pitching as bad as he is. I mean, not that he's pitching terrible. I didn't even talk about it. The last game, he pitched 1 inning, and it started raining, and then miraculously he was still able to come back, because usually if a rain delay lasts more than an hour, they just shut him down. They don't want to sit for that long. But he did come back out after that 1 inning because they had the option of, it literally started raining like 5 pitches into the game should have never been started. And it was AJ's choice too. AJ chose to start the game, which could have burned us, because it would have wasted a Framber outing. But he did come back. And it didn't end up being a terrible outing, but it was just an awkward, that awkward sit down moment and all that. So anyways, but yeah, Framber hasn't been great, but that's another guy that I would have liked to have been at the top of the rotation, a veteran guy with winning experience. But yeah, maybe somebody would be interested in picking him up, just as, for the sake of, the same reason why we liked him, the fact that he's a top of the rotation guy with playoff experience. So, maybe we could get something for him, but I don't know. I feel like with years of control left, I feel like you should be charging out the wazoo for a guy like Framber. One thing about him, you don't mess around. He's a bulldog out there. I do like that about him, even though, he hasn't been great for us. So, if he's somebody that we might dangle out there for a desperate team looking for, more stability in their rotation, we better bust their head for that, because he's under contract for the next couple of years, because he's picking up that option, unless he's got a Cy Young year down the road somewhere. He's picking up, it's like $38 million or something like that. Framber.
Mm-hmm.
So there's literally, yeah. So pull it up here.
if you do that, I'd be willing to overpay Casey Mize because his value is not going to be nearly as high as what Framber could get in the open market. If they were both go to free agency this coming year, Framber's going to get 5 times more than Casey could ever dream of. But that's also because Framber's played on some previous playoff teams in Houston, so he's got that track record and pedigree. But I'd be willing to overpay Mize if that bridge hasn't been totally burned, and then let him lead your rotation as your true number one over the next 5 to 6 years, and let the younger guys come along.
Yeah, Mize, I think I could see Mize getting 15 to 20 maybe, just because he's coming off an all-star year and he's had a good season despite the wins and losses probably not matching it. But yeah, as you can see, he's got Framber, what is it, 17? What is this? Some
So
type
35
of bonus.
for that.
Oh,
option.
$20 million. Okay, so he's making 17 this year, but he had a $20 million signing bonus. He's got a 37. He's set to make 37. I swear there was a player. It had the options. Hold on here. Here we go.
I thought that third year was an option too.
So yeah, so here it is.
It's a 2-year option. He's got a player first year and then a mutual for $40 million. Holy crap!
Yeah, but we're not really concerned about the mutual option because I don't even know how that goes. You got to both agree to whatever. But yeah, the player one for 2028, $35 million. He's picking that up, right? If next year goes the way this year goes, you pick that up because there's no way you're getting 30 by 35 years old. His arm's probably gonna be falling off for all I know, because it's not like he misses games. He's been healthy pretty much his whole career. So yeah, at any rate, this is a pretty team. It's a contract that he's under team control for at least 1 year, with the understanding that you'll get him for 2028 because he's not leaving unless he has a Cy Young caliber year. So yeah, I feel like the price tag on him, unless you're just trying to dump salary, is should be a nice one as far as what you can get back for him, because we need talent. The reality is that we have been getting by with, I don't want to say the bare minimum, but you look at you look what we got now. You got Wenzel Perez, you got Vierling, you got a lot of guys that are fifth outfielders at best, and Vierling batted third yesterday. Lefty specialist. He has been mashing against lefties, mashing for whatever mashing is, but yeah, that's who we have. That's who we have rolling out there every day, and he's just not an everyday player. They went as far as going out and getting Jeff Outman or whatever his name is, Chase Outman, whatever it is, because they didn't want Vierling playing center field every day. Otherwise, he could. And he hasn't been pretty in the field either. Neither has Carey. It's all been pretty bad defensively. But and I can recall Carey Carpenter making a pretty bad blunder out there. So yeah, we're already into the trades and all that type of stuff. Let's get to the last break, and then we'll wrap things up. All right. Any other things you want to talk about before we get to the probables for the week?
Yeah, there's some positivity here, and I think we've talked about it over the last week or two. After he had a little bit of a slow May, Dylan Dingler continues to carry this team on his back in every aspect. He had a solid week, and one game less played this week. But even if you go back to his last 15 days, his slash line's 340 with a 370 OBP, 740 slug, and his on base is 1,110. With 5 home runs, 16 RBIs, 17 hits, 10 runs scored, 2 walks to 9 strikeouts, and 1 hit by pitch. And how many ever challenges he continues to win, both behind the dish and in the batter's box. He's kind of been the guy that's been at the centerpiece of their offense all year. And I'm not going to lie, man, if he continues to get that average up, because at one point he got down to like 235, 240. Now he's back up to almost 255 after the last 15 days. Man, if he ends up around 270 at the end of the year with the current pace for home runs and RBIs, he's going to mess around and get some MVP votes with what will be his second consecutive Gold Glove award winning for defense. So, I mean, guys continue to do everything they've asked of him. And I know we've been so big on Carey and Riley the last 2 years, and Torkelson on and off to agree. He's kind of slipped under the radar, and I think he's going to be your guy who's no longer going to hit 6th in the lineup or 5th, but he's going to be hitting 3rd, 4th, 5th religiously, especially as a right-handed bat with all the other lefties that have been producing for the team in Carey and Riley, along with McGonigal, who continues to play everywhere up in the lineup. So at least they've got that still going for them, because if he were to go down or something, the offense would really struggle along with the defense. So, yeah, Dylan Dingler, probably your AL starting catcher for the All-Star game. If it's not, then I demand a revote.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think he's top 10 in RBIs right now. Ideally, I kind of like him at that 5-6 spot, just because I don't know, it's a lot of responsibility to put on a guy that's calling the game and playing top-notch defense. It's difficult to sustain that success at the plate at a position that that demanding. But for the time being, let's just write it out and enjoy it for what it is. Who we got coming up? I feel like we got a pretty stiff schedule coming up. Might have a lot of implications as far as we talk about buying and selling and the trade deadline. I feel like these next couple series should tell a lot.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong there. Right on the nose. That's why these divisional series were so important. Sure, like at some point they're gonna have to start getting some sweeps purely from a mathematical standpoint, but the fact that they couldn't take, basically, we'll say, it's 1 game difference. We'll say they went 500 in the split, right? Win 2 out of 3 at home, go on the road, you lose 2 out of 3, don't play the third. Those are the ones they have to have, because to your point, as we look ahead here, starting Monday, technically they get an off day today, but Monday they turn around and they play the Astros. The Astros come to town. It'll be Melton against Tang on Monday. Tuesday will be Valdez, his former team, against Hunter Brown. They get their ace back. They announced yesterday he will be starting and activated Tuesday. And then the matinee will be Casey Mize against Lambert. That will be a tough series as they continue to get better after they've had 2 slow starts, I think, last year and this year. Before they turn around off day Thursday, they welcome the White Sox back into town. Scuba will take the first game Friday night against Fetty. Saturday will be Montero against TBD listed for the White Sox. And Sunday will be Melton against their own potential Cy Young candidate in it's either Drew or Doug Martin, who I've had an eye on the last 2 weeks, because his metrics all of a sudden have just jumped up to most of them top 10, 12 in the American League for starters. So another guy that I don't think we were expecting to be a problem. This guy is mowing him down this year. So even though we've got our guy Melton, who we're high on, that's going to be a pivotal series as well. And then a brief look ahead at the end of the month, where they had the Yankees coming to town right after for 3. And then they turn around and they play Houston again for a 4-game set before we look into the 4th of July weekend. So, yes, this is an absolute gauntlet. It's a tall task. They have to go 600 or better in that stretch. I mean, that's the minimum we're looking at here. So, we'll take it game by game. But, a lot of tough games ahead.
Yeah, this definitely important just for the simple fact that, this could have AL, wild card implications. We have to win these games and have some level of advantage over these teams, because these are the teams that we're going to be fighting with. The not the Rangers, the Astros are currently 4 games out of first place in their division. The Yankees will be battling with Tampa, from now to the foreseeable future. So you want to, try to catch up to these teams, but you also want to have the tiebreaker against those guys. And Houston, you said they started slow. They've been had a lot of injuries. I think Carlos Correa is already out for the season, if I'm not mistaken. But Hunter Brown's back, Joe Hader is back, and Yordan Alvarez is having a hell of a season after missing a ton of time last year with injuries. So Houston, that's a team that just knows how to, retool it. They were able to flip, Cal Tucker for some good assets. And yeah, they always just seem to be in the thick of things. So a lot to contend with over the next couple series, but we're healthier than we've probably ever been in quite some time. Hobbies, shut down for a while, but we do have we have Mize back. Schoolboy will be back. We'll see when's his next start. We didn't even talk about Jack Flaherty, which kind of solves for right now. It kind of solves the issue of having so many starters. JV is gonna be back. We'll see. Well, we talked about it. Well, let's talk about it. Justin Verlander.
Yeah.
I don't think did you mention a probable matchup for him?
Well, he would have been Tuesday, but with the game being postponed today, they just moved Mize to Tuesday, and then I would assume then that would mean Verlander would probably pitch in the potentially in that White Sox series, which I would be looking at Montero's spot on Saturday if that's the case, because right now everyone else that's listed, Melton, Valdez, Mize, Skubal, and then Montero would be your fifth. So that would, unless they go to the 6th man, which then if he puts him in Montero's spot Saturday, moves everyone one day or one game beyond that. That would kind of be the other aspect if they wanted to go to a 6th man with only 6 until Flaherty returns. But let's just say it like this, if Flaherty hadn't gotten hurt and they did have that 7, the big talk earlier in the week was, generally speaking, a couple different national writers and those that I don't think Evan Petzold was covering this, but he did release a video, I think on Monday or Tuesday about it. And he said it's probably going to come down to Melton and Montero if they're going to keep Flaherty and JV, and most likely because of how high they're on Melton, and that Montero has served as that long first guy out of the pen before, and very, some spot starts in playoffs and whatnot. They're just going to keep him in the back end of the bullpen, or at least as a long reliever. But I'd be interested in doing an opener with JV and capping him at probably like 3 to 4 innings, because as we've mentioned here, he's given up a lot of home runs in rehab starts, like 2, 3, 4 a game, which is totally different than what we saw Skubal do in Low A, West Michigan, where he needed to stay behind and throw more because they weren't expecting him to throw that few pitches. But you know how I am on Montero. I think the right move would to put BJV in the bullpen, but I just don't think his persona, I'm gonna be a little respectful about it because of what he did in Detroit, but I don't see him accepting a move to the bullpen. And frankly, if they ask Flaherty to do that, I don't know if he's gonna want to, probably because he feels like his time is coming to an end playing wise, considering his struggles. But I would say one of those two would have to go for Montero for me. But as of right now, he looks to be the odd man out if they had 7 healthy starters.
Yeah, I mean, Flaherty, up until the point that he got hurt, I mean, he was starting to look better. But yeah, I mean, between you and JV, just box it out. I don't know. So one of y'all, like, who really, outside of JV's, past, success, obviously, this was a long time ago in Detroit, respect to that. I mean, who can really stand, who can really say that they deserve, like you said, 4 home runs, including I think back-to-back home runs against lower minor league competition. And he's been giving up home runs since spring training. I saw him play in Lakeland against the Yankees, and Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez. Mind you, these are guys that aren't everyday players in New York. We're taking him yard way back when. So, he had a good second half of last year, which gave us all hope. But I don't know. What I proposed, we talked about it. I don't think he's even played. I don't think he's even started a game in Comerica. Maybe that opening series against St. Louis, maybe he started, but I don't even think he's got a chance to even start in front of the Comerica crowd yet. So I'll give him that. And then beyond that, hey, if you're still serving up, batting practice fastballs or batting practice whatever, what can we really do here? I mean, are we? I mean, we're still trying to win, kinda, I guess, but yeah, something's got to give. We got, the pitching isn't really the issue. We've got tons of pitching when a guy like Kiter Montero, who's done a lot for us, might be subjected to long relief, but it's more the bats than anything. Let's see what MSU Detroit fan says. Jay-Z, keep in Toledo. I'm sorry. I mean, Jackson Jones, I have no idea what he's done. I think he's doing bullpen at this point. Oh, I missed that one. Scooble, Valdez, Montero, Mize, Melton. Go with that, basically. Okay, so that leaves JV and Flaherty off. I mean that's the best. Yeah, that's definitely the best lineup. All right, let's go down to the bottom. JV has not played in Detroit yet. He's only played one game against Arizona back in April, and that was it. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, I think you gotta. If there's anything that he's obligated,
then he went 4 innings in that start and got tanked.
Yeah. I think we got swept by Arizona. That rookie that nobody knew of hit a home, hit a debut home run against God knows who, but Corbin Carroll and all those guys. So, I think that we do owe it to JV to let him pitch a home game, but beyond that, hey, I don't know.
Yeah, it would even be his start would be a losing start for him would be the one that mathematically eliminates us. That would be like gruesomely poetic. As he flames out, he ends our season and we just go poof in the night. Sounds, morbid or whatever, but I mean, that's just, he just can't go through the lineup more than twice. He just can't. I mean, he's shown that. Even to your point, these young guys who did not see him 10 years ago, probably even as a kid, they were that young. They probably don't realize prime JV from 2007 or 8 through 2014, 15, 16, that run that he had. Just on video, they weren't alive really to take that in. So they're not scared of this guy who's throwing 88 to 92. Like, yeah, sure.
Right.
Okay.
They're like,
so I saw in high school.
Right. Their dad's like, oh, you're playing against JV. He's like, are you sure this is the same guy? It looks pretty easy to me. MSU Detroit fan says he was supposed to play in St. Louis series right before when it was announced he was injured and has been maybe this day since. That's when Kiter Montero came. Yeah. Because I think JV ended up catching the first pitch, whoever threw that out. And the next thing we knew, he was on the IL and banished for the next 60 days or whatever it was, because he's been gone for a grip since April. So April, probably close to 60 days. So MSU Detroit fan got no love for JV. Damn, I feel like there was something else I was gonna say, but I will just say subscribe to the channel. We cover the Tigers every Sunday. And subscribe to Bleacher Speakers as well as Corner to Copa. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, but we are already at an hour. I apologize to everybody for the technical difficulties. We got it together though. The lag is gone, and we rocked it out. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this week, which is I feel like what I've been saying for the last month. But any closing words before we get up out of here?
I hate the New York Knicks. That is all.
You know my twins on that team, right? We out of here.
Yeah.
Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting shit slide and get your lick back.